The newness of 2020 has worn off, and the reality set in and came crashing down around me and my family during the month of February. And keep in mind, this was the month before everything really got crazy in the US with everything that's going on in the world right now. And the things that were going on in our world, personally, in my family's world, had quite an impact on our budget. So stick around to hear all the details in our February 2020 budget report. Starting with our income, you can see that we had less come in than what we planned. So we planned on $10,521 and we had $10,397 total. So this included our regular salaries plus 103 from our sinking funds, and let's see here, 498 from my federal tax refund and $524 from my state tax refund. So that brought our total to $10,397 for the month. And then in giving, you can see down here that we planned on 30. We ended up not doing anything. That actually ended up playing out in March instead. Before we jump into the rest of this report, I want to share that I spent 23 of 29 of the days in February at my parents' house, which is in my hometown. What happened was my dad fell on February 2nd and literally shattered his right shoulder. He is right-hand dominant. This was quite a blow. I drove 65 miles the next morning to their house, like I said, in my hometown, and I worked remotely from there for most of the first half through the 13th. He had his surgery on the 14th on Valentine's Day. And, keeping in mind that he's 76 and he has lung disease, it's moderately advanced, I would say. So surgery is a pretty scary prospect for him and for us for him. And, he ended up coming through it and he's doing fantastic now. But his vertigo, which was the problem that caused the fall, that continues to plague him. So he, luckily has been able to get into some therapy for that. But, that continues to be a problem and that continues to be a challenge for him. So I was away from home for 21 straight days, and that meant that everything was pretty much a free-for-all. So I was eating and drinking on the run, whether it be at the hospital, in a drive-through, eating out while we were away from home, which was every day for 11 days straight. My mom and I were away from home, 30 miles away in the town that has the small city that has the hospital. And while I was gone doing all of that, Matt and Henry were at home eating out more than normal. Plus, we were all buying things more than normal. Our routine was different. And without me being at home, not that I drive everything by any means, but it was just different for all three of us. And so I was exactly where I needed to be. Let's be clear about that. I was exactly where I needed and wanted to be. And that was with my parents, helping them get through this time. But it was stressful on all of us. When I say all of us, I mean me, my husband, Henry, I mean my mom, my dad. Everything was in all of our lives was upside down. And I don't know if you guys have figured this out yet, but Matt and I are both spenders. So emotional spending is exactly what happened in February. We are over budget in a lot of places, and I want to talk to you about that. Okay, so moving on to housing, we had $1,054 for our mortgage, $165 for our gas and electric utilities, $169 for our quarterly water and garbage and sewer utilities, which is the city utilities, and then $177 for mobile services and $101 for internet, bringing our total to $1,668, which was right on target and what we planned. So in transportation, the gas bill is way high. So the reason why it was much higher than we planned is because of all the driving that we were doing. So let's just talk about Matt for a minute. He happened to have an unusual month where he had to commute about 90 miles round trip every day for 5 days. So his normal commute is 6 miles round trip. So this is much different than normal. I was also driving 60 miles per day minimum for 2 straight weeks. Either I was going to the hospital where Dad had had the surgery, or I was going to the skilled nursing facility that he was in afterwards before he could come home. Plus, Matt had another 300-mile day for work where he had to go do some testing. And so it was just a crazy month for driving. It was just way more than we planned. And so that's why we blew the gas budget. Anyway, we ended up $233 over. And you can see we had, our OnStar, we had $35 in repairs for the Lucerne. And we did have one Uber trip, and that brought us in at $652, which was $281 more than what we anticipated. And here you can see in the food budget, it also was impacted. We came in under with groceries by $89, but we were way over in dining out. So overall, we spent $645, which was $95 over the $550 we planned on. In the Henry category, we ended up not having any expenses there at all. In the pets category, we had $15 for grooming, $76 for food, nothing in meds or vet. You can see we planned on some vet expenses. I kept thinking that the vet was going to have her come back in 30 to 60 days after all the mess that happened in January with her, and they have not called us back yet. So we didn't spend anything in vet expenses in February, and then we had $27 in other supplies. Her collar and her tag that had her tag on it went missing, and we had to replace that. We ended up at $118, which was $176 under budget for that category. One of the few that we landed that way. So in insurance, this is usually a pretty boring category. This is all of the insurance that we have to cover our family for a number of things. Most of this is coming out of our paychecks. So if you look here, all of these things are coming out of our paychecks. And then the other things are coming out of our checking account. But the only thing that was unusual was the auto insurance. You can see here we had $172, and that's because we bought that new vehicle at the very end of January. And so that bill was due for the prorated amount for the rest of the 6 months in February. So that was $172. And so we were at $943. And that we came a total of $181 more than planned. In entertainment, we had our $20 for streaming, $3 for our ink, $9 for our Cinemark Movie Club, and then nothing for family entertainment because we didn't go anywhere or do anything together. So we were at a total of $32 for the month and came in $50 under. I suppose that's one good thing out of me being gone for the whole month. In health, we had $325 for our flexible spending accounts, $26 for the gym, $48 for healthcare, and $8 for prescriptions, bringing our total to $409, which was $75 under budget. In extras, so Matt got a bee in his bonnet about buying things for his reselling business, and he didn't talk to me about it before he did it. So I noticed that he was doing a little bit more, but I didn't realize how much he was doing, and he ended up spending $93 before I got my arms around it. That kind of caught me off guard and by surprise, and we've talked about it since then and made a little bit of an adjustment to allow for those types of things. But we also bought some clothes and some other things like allergy meds for our granddaughter. So that's all that we have in the extras at a total of $166. We don't typically plan on extras. I have that category to capture all the things that don't really fall elsewhere. So we're almost always over in this category. We don't have anything in crap. I forgot about that. So that's awesome. In envelopes, my spending was over a little bit by $10 at $50. Matt's was right on target at $40. The household, we spent $53, and miscellaneous was $110. That miscellaneous was a part of the emotional spending that we were doing. Both Matt and I were doing it, where I was and where he was, and neither were related to the other. We just were feeling like we needed things, and so we just picked them up on the run, and we didn't really stop and think about what we were doing. So we came in at $254, which was $59 over budget. In the budget bounce, I didn't have anything in education or equipment or travel, but my subscriptions were $25 instead of the $11 that I planned on. And the reason for that is because I forgot that my domain name, thebudgetbounce.com, actually renewed. So I picked that up a year ago, just in case I want to do a website in the future. Just to be clear, I have no intention of doing a website in the future. Right now, I have no short-term goals for that. I just am grabbing it in case I decide to do it in the future. That renews every year. It's $13. Here we are. Came in 13 over at the Budget Bounce. Okay, moving on to savings, you can see here that we put $50 into our emergency fund and then $70 into the kids funds. That brings the emergency fund to $1,527, and the total for the kids is a little over $600 in their accounts. We also put money into our retirement, so you can see we put a total of $321 into our two retirement accounts, bringing our total savings to $441 for the month. Moving into, these are our sinking funds. I'll scroll down a little bit here for you. Okay, so let's see here. So for auto insurance, we put in $275. For auto registrations, we put in $39. For business travel, $30. City utilities, we put in $80. Clothing, we put in $40. Estate planning was $25. We didn't put anything in gifts. Henry School was $250. Holidays was $60. Image and cosmetics was $50. Life insurance was $81. Healthcare was $50. One check ahead was $20. Online subscription was $80. Pet expense was $55. Technology was $25. Travel was $340. Vacation was $150. Vehicles was $300. And wedding was $15. So you can see that there are some discrepancies, like here with the vehicles. We ended up doing some different things than what we originally planned, and so that all turned out fine. But then let's see here, let's go over and look at, I'm going to scroll back up here, and you can see here in the spent column, we spent $31 out of the business travel account to cover a whole lot of stuff that Matt had going on. Since he was gone every day, he wasn't in a place where he could take his lunch, like all that. He normally comes home for lunch every day. So he was eating out every day for lunch. I think that was the only thing that we used in February was $31. So that brings our sinking fund totals at the end of February to $6,790. All right, now we're going to move into our debt category, which is a pretty big one. So let me start by explaining that there are 3 sections here. There is the section that shows what we've paid off. There is a section that shows what's been charged off that we are not actively paying on right now. And then the last section is our actively paying section. So I will show you everything that we are doing right now today. So this list shows all of the debts that we've paid off so far. I think there's like 18 here. And then our total here is $25,434 of debts that have completely and totally been paid off 100%. We've paid off more than that, but these are the ones that are gone and done forever. In the charged off section, we have, let's see here. In the charged off section, we have several here, and these are all old debts that have been charged off that Matt has asked that we hold off on dealing with those. So they total $9,547, and they will be dealt with after we get through our actively paying section. And let me just explain. So you see some, oh, I'm so sorry that jumped so far. You see some black font and you see pink font, and you see the mix up here as well. So the black font is anything that has only Matt's name on it. And the pink font is anything that had my name on it. It might also have Matt's name on it, but it designates anything with my name on it. At the beginning of this, Matt made it clear that he wanted us to focus primarily on debts with my name in them. And so that's what we have been doing. And we got a lot of little things done. You can see up here that had his name on them as opposed to mine, but we have paid off several of mine as well. And now the primary focus is on things that are in my name. That's pretty much what's remaining other than child support and loans. So let's just go through this real quick. So this Medic EMS is an ambulance bill that we are paying. It just got added in December or January. And so it's a long story. I've talked about that in some of my other budget videos, so I won't go into that now. But the bottom line is when the insurance gets their act together and actually pays them the way they were supposed to, anything I've paid into this is going to come back to us. But for now, I agreed to pay $20 a month so that we don't get sent to collections. The next thing is my Care credit card. We paid $50. My Capital One card, we paid $25. My 401k loan is $154. Matt's private student loan is $55. My Lowe's card is $190. Our other Visa is $400. We have our car payment that is $550 a month. Matt pays $725 into child support every month. This is arrearage. The kids are all old enough now. There's no current support anymore, but he did have a lot that built up over the years, and so he is paying that down. We have a family loan that we're paying $200 a month toward, and then we have student loans that while he is still on the income driven repayment plan, I've been trying to keep up with the interest. You can see over here the $205. We're just trying to pay enough to stop that interest from adding to the original principal, which is now to $52,000 when we originally were at, he was just under 40. So there's been quite a bit added over the last few years, and we're trying to just stop that bleed. So when we look at the totals, we paid $2,594 to debt during the month of February. This is an estimate of interest. I believe we paid about $721 in interest. What you can see here is that we were right at the $200,000 mark at the end of January, starting the month of February. And we have now officially broken into the 100s, you guys. It took us 2 whole years, but we did it. We are into the 100,000s now. We started at $252,000. So this is fantastic. And I'll show you all those numbers and talk about them here in a second. So here we have our total expenses were $9,918. And our total income was $10,397, which left $478 left over. That was by design because we had a whole lot of car repairs to do that we were saving for. So this $478 rolled over into March, and we used it for a big repair bill that we had on one of our cars that we've been saving up for. Moving over here to the right, you can see that this month we killed off $1,874 of debt. So that is 28% of $1,874 is how much we paid net off of our debt after interest was applied. And then the total paid to date through the end of February is $53,893, which is awesome. And then if you look at these percentages over here, you can see that this 28% represents this number, the total amount that we paid to debt, divided by our total income from salaries. So from our regular full-time jobs. It does not take into account anything we pulled in from the sinking fund or the taxes or any of that kind of stuff. It's just from our regular salaries. We paid $2,594, and that came out to 28%. And then the total paid to date on our total debt is 21.4%. We had a pretty big month, even with all of the things that were going on with my mom and my dad, and Matt and Henry's routine being completely different, and we went over budget in many places, but yet we still spent less than what we had come in. It was just kind of a crazy month, and I saw it happening. I was keeping track of things throughout the month, but I needed a break. And so I took a break, and I absolutely contributed to us going over budget in some of those categories because I just didn't feel like fighting it. And so I had so many other things going on, I just gave into it. And, we're all human. We all have those moments. And, the fact that I only went over $10 on my personal spending budget is amazing to me. I actually thought that it would be a lot more. But overall, we ended up still coming out, moving ahead with our debt. We still did our budget for March, even though we were, busting the budget in several categories and that kind of thing. You just have to keep on marching forward no matter what. And so that's what we've done. That's how we have come this far. And if you are a new person here and you're watching one of my budget videos for the first time, I just want to tell you that 2 years ago in February of 2018, when we did our first budget, I wasn't sure if we could do it. I, in fact, was really scared that we wouldn't do it. and know that it takes work. It does take work on your part. It is not going to be easy, but if you just start and start paying attention and, putting everything down on paper, I think you will find that it will become easier and easier. Budgeting at the beginning, if it's your first time, can be difficult, but you get past those first 2 or 3 months and start seeing what's happening, it can really give you some hope that maybe you're not feeling right now. And as I post this, we are well into March of 2020. And with all that's going on in the world, I know that there are a lot of things that are not within our control, but things that can be within your control are what you do with your money. While how much money that's coming in may not be within your control, you get to pick and choose what you're going to do with what money does come in. So whatever your cash flow situation is right now, don't give up on maintaining your plan, whatever it is, however you do your plan. Doing a budget will give you the roadmap that you need to make sure that your money does not slip away from you without you having any idea of knowing where it went, especially right now when everything is so uncertain. That is our budget for February 2020. I feel like under the circumstances that we actually did a lot better than I had anticipated, and it set us up for some good things in March, even as everything was unraveling in the world around us. Now it's not just about me and my family. Now all these other things are happening, and we, while it's very uncertain and it's unnerving sometimes, I feel like we set ourselves up for success through all of that because of how we managed to get through February, even as bumpy as it was. And speaking of uncertain times, I'm going to be talking about what you can do to take control back during times of uncertainty with both your money and your health. So click on this video right here and I'll meet you over there. That's all I've got for you today. Until next time.